Have you ever wondered why some people can see through every lie, every pretense, every mask that others wear? They don't need years of psychology training or supernatural powers. They simply understand human nature at its core. And today, you're going to learn their secret through the piercing insights of Friedrich Nietzsche, a philosopher who saw people not as they wanted to be seen, but as they truly are. What if I told you that every person you meet is wearing a carefully constructed mask? That behind every smile, every gesture, every word, there's a hidden agenda driven by forces they don't even understand themselves? Nietzsche knew this. He spent his life peeling back the layers of human deception, not to judge, but to understand. And now, you're going to learn to do the same. The first truth Nietzsche revealed is this: all things are subject to interpretation. Look around you right now. Every person in your life is presenting a curated version of themselves. The colleague who always agrees with the boss, the friend who posts perfect pictures on social media, the partner who never admits to being wrong. They're not lying to you, they're lying to themselves. And here's how you spot it. Watch for the contradictions. Listen to what they say, but more importantly, watch what they do. When someone's words and actions don't align, you've found the crack in their mask. Their micro-expressions will betray their true feelings, their body language will reveal their real intentions, and their patterns of behavior will expose who they really are beneath the performance. But why do people wear these masks in the first place? Because, as Nietzsche observed, the individual has always had to struggle not to be overwhelmed by the tribe. Everyone is terrified of being rejected, of standing out, of being seen as different. So they conform, they perform, they become what they think others want them to be. You can instantly recognize these people. They're the ones who change their opinions based on who's in the room. They follow trends religiously. They never disagree, never challenge, never show any real personality. They've sacrificed their authenticity for acceptance. And deep down, they resent everyone for it, including themselves. This leads us to perhaps the most crucial insight. Behind your thoughts and feelings stands a mighty ruler, an unknown sage. Most people have no idea why they do what they do. They think they're making conscious choices, but they're actually being driven by unconscious forces. Childhood wounds, repressed desires, unmet needs. These invisible drivers control their behavior like puppet strings. Want to read someone instantly? Pay attention to what they avoid talking about. Notice their emotional reactions to seemingly innocent topics. Watch how they respond when challenged or questioned. Their unconscious will reveal itself in these moments of pressure. Now we enter the realm of power dynamics, because as Nietzsche understood, the will to power is the primitive form of affect. Everyone seeks some form of influence or control. Everyone. The question is not whether someone wants power, but how they pursue it. Some people seek power through charm and manipulation. They make you feel special, understood, important. But notice how quickly that charm disappears when you're no longer useful to them. Others pursue power through intimidation and dominance. They raise their voices, make threats, try to overwhelm you with their presence. But underneath that aggression is usually deep insecurity. Then there are those who seek power through expertise and competence. These are often the most genuine because their power comes from actual value they provide, not from manipulating others. Here's a warning that Nietzsche gave us. Whoever fights monsters should see to it that he does not become a monster. People often become what they claim to despise. The person who constantly talks about how much they hate drama, they're usually creating it. The one who preaches about honesty, they're often the most deceptive. The individual who positions themselves as morally superior, they're usually compensating for something dark they refuse to acknowledge about themselves. This isn't conscious hypocrisy, it's psychological projection. They're fighting in others what they can't face in themselves. And speaking of moral superiority, Nietzsche warned us that the demand to be loved is the greatest of all arrogant presumptions. Some people's entire identity is built around being liked, being needed, being seen as good. They desperately seek approval and validation from everyone around them. You can spot these people immediately. They're the ones who never say no. They always have time for others, but never for themselves. They explain themselves constantly, justify every decision, apologize for existing. This isn't kindness. It's neediness disguised as virtue, and it makes them incredibly easy to manipulate. But the most dangerous deception is the one we practice on ourselves. Nietzsche observed that the most common lie is that which one lies to oneself. Everyone has blind spots about their own behavior, their own motivations, their own flaws. Listen for the stories people tell themselves, the repeated justifications, the excuses that never quite make sense, the patterns they refuse to see. When someone constantly explains why they're always late, Why their relationships always fail, why they never get the recognition they deserve. They're revealing their self-deception. They'd rather maintain a comfortable lie than face an uncomfortable truth. This becomes even more pronounced in groups because in individuals, insanity is rare, but in groups, it's the rule. Watch how people change when they're part of a crowd, a team, a movement. Their individual personality disappears, replaced by groupthink and mob mentality. The quiet, thoughtful person becomes aggressive in a crowd. The independent thinker starts parroting popular opinions. This isn't weakness, it's human nature. But recognizing it allows you to identify who has genuine individual conviction versus who's simply following the crowd. Most people operate from what they believe is a moral framework, but Nietzsche revealed that there are no moral phenomena, only moral interpretations. Everyone thinks their values are universal, that their way of seeing the world is obviously correct. But values are personal, cultural, contextual. The key to reading people is understanding their moral framework, not judging it. What do they consider right and wrong? What do they value most? Security, freedom, fairness, recognition. Once you understand their value system, their behavior becomes predictable. When life challenges people, their true character emerges. Nietzsche taught us that what does not kill me makes me stronger, but not everyone embraces this philosophy. Some people are strengthened by adversity, others are broken by it. Watch how someone responds to failure, criticism, loss, disappointment. Do they take responsibility or blame others? Do they learn and adapt or repeat the same mistakes? Do they grow from challenges or become bitter? This reveals more about their character than years of normal interaction ever could. Success reveals character too, because the higher we soar, the smaller we appear to those who cannot fly. Excellence often breeds resentment in others. Some people celebrate others' success, others try to diminish it. Notice who encourages your growth and who tries to keep you small. Notice who inspires you to be better and who makes you feel guilty for achieving. This tells you everything about their relationship with their own potential. The deepest insight Nietzsche offered was about authenticity. Become who you are. Most people spend their lives trying to become what others want them to be, but a few rare individuals are on a journey of self-discovery, of becoming their authentic selves. You can recognize these people by their willingness to be disliked, their comfort with uncertainty, their courage to stand alone when necessary. They're not trying to fit in. They're trying to figure out who they truly are. This leads to Nietzsche's profound observation. You must have chaos within you to give birth to a dancing star. Growth requires destruction. Transformation demands the death of old patterns, old beliefs, old versions of yourself. Some people embrace this chaos, others resist it desperately. Those who embrace it are constantly evolving, learning, becoming. Those who resist it become stagnant, bitter, afraid of change. The ultimate mark of psychological maturity is captured in Nietzsche's insight. One must shed the bad taste of wanting to agree with many. Independent thought is rare. Most people are consensus seekers, afraid to hold unpopular opinions, terrified of standing out from the crowd. But true individuals think for themselves. They form their own opinions based on their own experience and reasoning. They're comfortable disagreeing, comfortable being misunderstood, comfortable being alone in their convictions. And finally, Nietzsche left us with this beautiful truth. And those who were seen dancing were thought to be insane by those who could not hear the music. Don't judge what you don't understand. Every person operates according to their own internal logic, their own experiences, their own wounds and dreams. What looks crazy from the outside might make perfect sense from the inside. The highest form of psychological wisdom is knowing when to observe without judgment, when to understand without agreement, when to see clearly without condemnation. These 18 truths aren't meant to make you cynical or manipulative. They're meant to make you wise. Because when you understand the hidden forces that drive human behavior, you gain something invaluable. The ability to respond rather than react, to see clearly rather than project, to connect authentically rather than superficially. Use this knowledge not to exploit others, but to protect yourself, to choose better companions, and to become more honest about your own hidden motivations. Remember, the person who can read others instantly isn't someone with supernatural powers. It's someone who has learned to see past the masks, to understand the drives, to recognize the patterns. It's someone who has looked deeply into their own psychology first. Because as Nietzsche knew, to understand others, you must first understand yourself.